8 minutes you need to hear and understand. December 6, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. Bless Bill Still and the Still Report. I am recommending that everyone including President Trump listen to this YouTube, and then, also understand how and why these vermin in Congress are getting away with committing crimes in front of our noses.
Good evening. I'm still reporting on the coup. I got a very interesting tip last night that law enforcement officials may be looking at a conspiracy charge that may involve not only former officials of the FBI and Justice Department, but sitting politicians and even members of the mainstream media, or MSM. At issue is a little-cited law against advocating the overthrow of the United States government. It's called 18 U.S.C. 2385. Let's take a look. Whoever with the intent to cause the overthrow or destruction of any such government prints, publishes, edits, issues, circulates, sells, distributes, or publicly displays any written or printed matter advocating, advising, or teaching the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing or destroying any government in the United States by force or violence, or attempts to do so, or whoever organizes or helps or attempts to organize any society, group, or assembly of persons who teach, advocate, or encourage the overthrow or destruction of any such government by force or violence, or becomes or is a member of or affiliates with any such society, group, or assembly of persons, knowing the purposes thereof, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both, and shall be ineligible for employment by the United States or any department or agency thereof for the 5 years next following his conviction. But it gets even more interesting when 2 or more persons engage in this type of behavior as a conspiracy. If 2 or more persons conspire to commit any offense named in this section, each shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both, and shall be ineligible for employment by the United States or any department or agency thereof for 5 years next following his conviction. Of course, we don't know at this point if there is any incontrovertible evidence existing to prove that any of the coup plotters were considering direct kinetic involvement by any elements of the military as part of the coup. However, for all we know, that could still be a contingency plan in play for the Wednesday morning after the votes are counted on November 4th. However, this option did exist as a contingency that came very close to execution the last time a coup was in the works in late October 1973, the first year of President Richard Nixon's second term in office. So, since it's not out of the question, it is worthy of a bit of contingency planning by the Trump administration, as an ounce of prevention being better than a pound of cure. During the late 1973-1974 period, as Nixon pondered his options, as the Watergate scandal grew ever closer to ousting him from his second term, not even then did a single person breathe the word coup d'etat. It was all couched in terms of the Committee to Repeal the 22nd Amendment, which limited the term of U.S. presidents to 2 terms in office. In other words, they were slick enough to then skirt legal criminality by never crossing over the line into admitting openly to sedition or treason. Another option back then was to bring radical tensions in America to such a boil as to justify martial law, which then would facilitate the president canceling future elections. This time the shoe is on the other foot. The coup plotters are brazen enough to actually use the word coup openly in their electronic communications. This time the coup plotters are seeking to regain power. Back in 1973, the cousters were seeking ways to maintain their power. So it is important for political centrists and moderate classical leftists to understand who in this present day is doing what to whom. In the Nixon era 46 years ago, respect for the rule of law was much more robust. Coup plotting was done under the strictest secrecy protocols. Now look at today. The cousters are, or hopefully were, so confident that they were totally above the law, totally protected from it by none other than the FBI itself, so that they could use the word coup in their sloppy communications without fear. The point is that we live in a much more dangerous era for the survival of our republic. A physical coup d'etat is so much more possible and doable today than it was 46 years ago. Who knows what the cousters have in their black bags of seditious tricks as we approach the elections? Unfortunately, this is still on the table. This is not over yet. The only thing that can ensure the Republic against what is obviously ongoing coup plotting under the guise of impeachment is to start indicting key members of the coup team for sedition or conspiracy under 18 U.S.C. 2385 if there is sufficient evidence to warrant it. This alone can force those participating in today's coup back into the shadows. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi today will probably announce a schedule for their fast-track impeachment vote in the House. Talk about contingency planning. Pelosi will be speaking from a platform intentionally designed to mimic that used by the President of the United States for official announcements. Could it be possible that there is a contingency plan to remove from office not only the President, but the Vice President, Mr. Pence, as well, thereby making Ms. Pelosi the next in line to the presidency? Anything, absolutely anything, is possible with these modern-day techno-coosters. No plan is too brazen for them as their desperation reaches a fever pitch. I'm still reporting from just outside the one-time rule of law capital of the world. Good day.
The reason that Nancy and Harry and Chuck and Alphonso, the Illinois rat boy, are getting away with it, is that they work for a different government, the Municipal United States Government. Our forefathers unwittingly created a monster. What they did was, at the time, perfectly safe and reasonable. They created a separate municipal government for the capital city, Washington, D.C., and they placed the elected members of the States of America Confederation Government in charge of providing a government for Washington, D.C. Read Article 1 Section 8, Clause 17. There it is, plainly described as a plenary oligarchy. What it fails to point out in an explicit way is that Washington, D.C. is an independent, international city-state, chartered by the Holy See as a franchise of the City of Rome. The members of our original federal Congress were trustworthy to act as the comptrollers of this separate municipal government. They all worked directly for the states and were subject to recall by the people and/or the state legislatures. Not so the Municipal Congress in D.C. today. The original responsibility vouchsafed to the Confederation and the elected members of the States of America Congress was up for grabs in the wake of the Civil War, and subsequent to that, the horse was out of the barn. The municipal oligarchy went into business for itself and secretively usurped against the people and the states as was created to serve in a very limited capacity. Despite the clear and obvious restrictions placed upon the municipal government in terms of its size and purpose and reach, the subsequent generations of Congress members have endeavored to usurp upon those restrictions and extend the reach and influence of their plenary oligarchy far beyond the 1 mile square limitation imposed by the actual municipal constitution. Because of this, we now have over 185,000 municipal corporations operating illegally in this country, which is a major part of the bone we have to pick with the Pope, and also because of this, we have criminals waddling around Washington, D.C., flaunting both our public law and the federal code of the British territorial government. These yahoos, Nancy Pelosi and pals, are operating under the municipal code, and that allows them to do anything, up to and including eating American babies and holding dual citizenship with Israel, if they want to. Repeat after me: within their capacity as the Municipal Congress, they are plenary oligarchs. This means that both together and separately, they can do whatever they wish. They are not obligated to follow our public law. They are not obligated to follow federal, territorial code. They are only obligated to follow their own municipal code and the directives of the Pope. And it is precisely their lawlessness and their piratical usurpation against their employers that has brought this country to such an impasse. Donald Trump is being impeached as the President of the Municipal Government, not the actual power holder office of the President of the United States of America, not even the territorial office of the President of the United States of America. He is being impeached as the President of the Municipal United States. Read it carefully. He took his oath of office as President of the United States, just as George Washington did. The problem is that George Washington knew why he was taking that oath first and in public, to make sure the papist civil government stayed honest. Donald Trump walked into the office and was blindsided. His inaugural speech was a clear clarion call to return the government back to the people of this country, and sparked the very worst fears of the municipal usurpers, that their unlawful and immoral hegemony was at an end. The Municipal United States Government owes its charter to the Holy See and stands under the Municipal Government of Rome. It is responsible, entirely by default of the States of America Confederacy, for running the federal civil service and the subcontracting federal agencies that they gratuitously created for themselves. And this, the Municipal United States Government, is the entity running amok. This is the civil government, meaning city government, as opposed to the civilian government that is supposed to be in charge of the federal civil service and any agencies. Now, you can understand why the municipal government is not subject to the territorial federal code, and you understand why they are running amok with respect to the actual public law and the territorial code. You also understand how it is possible for Nancy Pelosi to impeach Donald Trump as the elected president of their municipal government doing business as the United States, in spite of the territorial federal code. The municipal government isn't under federal code. They are under their own municipal code. And they are running wild. We have several answers for this situation. 1. Hold Pope Francis with both feet to the fire. He is responsible for the operations of the municipal government. He directly owns it and he indirectly controls both the territorial United States government through the Queen and the United Nations as majority stockholder in the UN Corporation. Any civil unrest or problem in this country is his fault and he can't get out of it. Any fight or insurrection or unpleasantness at all tracks directly back to his door and stays there. 2. Our states of the Union have been called to assemble and a majority of them, now 40, have done so, and they have been polled concerning our action offering the actual power holder office to Donald Trump, if he will reclaim his own political status as an American state national of New York as one of the 2 citizenships he can hold while in federal office. An overwhelming majority of our states confirmed this offer. If President Trump is impeached as President of the Municipal United States, he can correct his political status as we all have done, and lawfully enter into the presidency of the United States of America, unincorporated. In that superior office, he can order the evacuation and quarantine of Washington, D.C. He can also arrest any municipal officials caught operating outside the boundary stones marking the original 1 mile square. This flushing of the toilet would be a civilian government action undertaken in our sovereign capacity, and the only one who could say anything about it is the Pope, who needs to talk to us anyway about the Holy See's performance as our trustee in the global jurisdiction of the air. 3. The members of the Municipal Congress are claiming immunity as a foreign government, however, they have acted in breach of trust and in violation of both the letter and the intent of the Municipal Constitution which established the municipal government in the first place. Those who established can also destroy the municipal government simply by holding a Continental Congress and firing them all. Send them home. Stop paying for services we aren't receiving and for insubordination and breach of trust. Help support this work by visiting www.annavonreitz.com and look for the donate button. Links to this article and more can be found in the video description box.